tonight's regular Board of Education meeting for Wednesday, September 18th. Here in the boardroom, could we have a roll call, please, Tammy?
Ron Liberty.
Here.
Paul Prue.
Here.
John Smith.
Here.
Brett Waller.
Here.
Nev Sashbeck.
Here.
Amber Jarizzo. Here. Jacqueline Gremler. Here. Mike Hornisher.
Here.
Kevin Blake.
Here. If you please join me as you're able. Stand up, face the flag for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Merrill Area Public Schools Board of Education meeting. NAPS respects the role that our elected board members serve and the function of our board meetings. Board members and administrators are committed to working collaboratively to provide our students with the highest level of achievement. This meeting is a formal event, and professional conduct is the expectation for all in attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. First on our agenda, we allocate some time for public comment. I did not have any sheets turned in. Tammy did not either to her. From there, we go right to recognition. I have some non-traditional recognition tonight. Normally, we hear about someone who went to state or some academic things, but tonight, the board and myself would like to recognize Superintendent Shannon Murray for his ability to rally the team, to maintain that strong levels of communication and his overall leadership abilities and decisiveness during challenging district times. I think a lot of times that's just expected in that role, but certainly yesterday we were reminded of that with the power outage that affected a number of buildings. And while I know that it wasn't just you alone, kind of calling the play and updating everybody, if it's the board via emails or the phone system on the phone calls and that. But certainly want to thank you. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on some of the teamwork that's involved in that. But thank you for that.
Thank you. It was me alone.
Good job.
So yesterday, thank you, I appreciate that. A lot of people made yesterday go really smoothly. I'll start with Nick, who was great with communications and problems. So we had Washington, Kate, and the middle school all out at the same time. And each of them had their own little unique idiosyncrasies that kind of had to be dealt with. And so between pretty early on, we were able to establish that we had toilets and water and phone and the main things. And it was the middle of the day, and kids had already been fed, and we had enough natural light. So staying open was a relatively easy decision. We were close to moving the Washington kids, sending them on a field trip up to the high school auditorium. Tricia was going to open it up. We're in a movie or something. Did we have a movie picked out?
Bug's Life.
Bug's Life. That close to watching Bug's Life. In air conditioning. In fact, Megan was about to send out the notice to her parents, and when her lights came back on, so that was good news. They came on sooner. But a lot of people pitched in together, and I think the communication was really good. The teachers were great. The principals were awesome. Andrew Kaler and his crew and John were at Cape Goodrich keeping their phones running. So it just went about as smooth as it possibly could. So it was maybe a good little shakedown reminder for us on how to deal with something that wasn't super tragic or emergency, but it was good. So I do appreciate you saying that also. Thank you, and thanks to everybody that helped out with that. Everybody did a great job.
Yes, thank you. There is something coming up in October, and I guess maybe you can recognize that instead of me.
I'll come back at you.
Yeah. Thanks.
So yes, October 6th through the 12th is Wisconsin School Board Appreciation Week. And I really do appreciate our school board. We are a good place. I've been around here for a while, and we've had some multi-boards over those years, over the last 20 years. And I hear stories from other districts that have challenges. And we are in a really good place with our school board, and I'm very appreciative of that. We've got a diverse mix of people that come from different backgrounds, bring different things to the table. I think the discussions are always very good and student-centered. We do good work in committees, and I think we've got it kind of clicking pretty nicely. So on behalf of all of our staff, thank you for being an awesome school board. And we have a very small, fiscally responsible token of our appreciation in that bag. Let the motion reflect fiscally responsible.
But now you went through and
pick the best stuff up.
And he is willing to take anything that any board member should not like. He will sacrifice his
Yeah.
caloric intake for the
So
rest
thanks,
of us.
thanks for all that you do, and I appreciate the work that you guys do.
Thank you, Shane. Next up, this will be easy for Max to follow, right? The boisterous, comedic time here. You know, seriously, we have our Student Board of Education representative reports, Max Black and Parker Wagner. Let you guys decide who speaks first based on our high school activities.
I appreciate that. I think I'm fine.
Absolutely.
But school spirit is already reaching a high as homecoming week comes up. So from the 23rd to the 28th, we're going to have dress-up days, sporting events, the assembly, and of course the dance. So the dress-up days include Rhyme Without Reason, Bikers versus Beach, class colors, class games, and then Bluejay Pride Day. The Powder Puff game is on Wednesday evening, and then the Powder Buff game is on Friday. So for the Powder Buff game, whoever wins between the juniors and seniors will face the elderly staff team. Hopefully by Saturday, the rivalries will be like calmed down, so we can all come together for the game against Manigo, and then the parade and the dance. The homecoming queens this year are Kaden Sillinger for freshmen, Lauren Zielsdorf for sophomores, Jasmine Sievert for juniors, and then seniors Danny Schulke, Jocelyn Royer, Molly White, and Maddie Skip. And then this Friday, there's a trip planned for students to go to Rhinelander and attend an education fair. The fair is going to have universities and technical schools in attendance, and students will get a QR code and they can get current and future information on any schools they want just by the schools or scanning the school's QR code.
Thank you. The pre-ACT was taken by the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors this morning. Students are tested on reading, writing, math, and science. Taking the pre-ACT prepares the juniors for the real ACT, which is later in the year. And students who take the ACT have a higher chance of getting scholarships. Bell to bell, no cell is the high school's phone policy for this year. It means that students shouldn't have their phones out from the start of a class to the end of a class, the start bell to the end bell. They are allowed to keep it in their pockets or with their stuff, but they shouldn't have it out during class. If the teacher sees that, they are to tell the student to put it in the phone caddy, which is in every classroom. And if it's a reoccurring issue, the phone is sent down to the office and the student is written up. The Merrill Marching Jays had their first competition in Cumberland, Wisconsin on the 7th. They got second place, missing first by half a point. Their next competition is in Franklin, Wisconsin on September 21st. Wish them luck.
Excellent. Thanks, Parker. Thanks, Max. Any board members have any questions on what they presented this evening, or things you hear that are going on that you would like clarity from the high school and our board reps?
Did I hear that the marching Jays got best color guard?
Yes. Best color guard out of all of the bands present,
Yeah.
not just the ones in our division.
Very good. That's awesome. And for the record, Max, I think you're funny also. I don't know if I'll put that in writing, but it's on video. All right. Thank you, guys. Next on our agenda this evening is administrative reports. I'll turn it over to Shannon for that.
The first administrative report on the agenda tonight is the Director of Pupil Services report, speaking to the County Health Department annual report. Amber's here. She went over this at CTP. If there's any questions, Amber's here. Seeing none, the item B is the Director of Curriculum Instruction report, focusing on professional development and our preschool or pre-start of the school year MSI days. And Amanda shared that information with the CTP committee as well. She's here if anybody has any questions about that. Item C is the Technology Department report. Andrew Kaler is here this evening. Answer any questions, talk about his involvement in new teacher tech training, some of the VenQ trainings that have been taking place, give us a rundown, give us a rundown on the help desk, relying on us, etc. So any questions for Andrew? Seeing none, the next report is the Director of Finance report from Mark Powell. Breakdown of our revenue and expenditures through since July 1st. Mark is here with any questions that we have today. Item E is the Director of Human Resources report. Heather Soberg is not here this evening, but her report is pretty comprehensive. It talks about some things that were discussed at HR Finance, including some support staff incentives and those kind of things. If there are any questions, I can sort of give it a shot or pass those out now. Item F is the Director of Buildings, Grounds, Transportation update. Nick Zog is here tonight. Talked about summer projects that were completed, getting ready for the school year, as well as a list of projects coming forward. And so if anyone has any questions for Nick, he is present. And the last is the superintendent's report. You can see the top of the summary sheet. There's a couple things I just want to kind of highlight there that I think are noteworthy. First, Nick and I met with Dave Wendorf last couple weeks ago. It's official. Dave and Rachel Wendorf are retiring from the busing business at the end of this school year. And so this will be the first time maybe ever that our district's having solicit bids for or sending RFPs for busing. So this will be a new era for us. And we've had a pretty strong tradition of local busing here. When I started, it was Peterson, Bouchard, and Wendorf. Each had their little geographical territories in the district. At one time, I think there was as many as 5. And they just kind of like were retiring by each other out. So we're going to put out RFPs statewide and start that process, and we'll be coming to the board certainly this fall or before January 1st, likely, with proposals for busing contracts. So I share that for a couple reasons. One is things are going to be a little bit different than we're used to. Dave Wendorf has shared with us that the first change you'll notice is that there'll be a lot of kids walking to school next year because we've had a history of picking up a lot of kids from town on our way to places, and that's outside of the busing regulations as defined by the state, and so that's just an example of some of the changes that are coming. So we'll work through some of those things, and we'll keep the board abreast of all those discussions. But I thought I would share that with you because that would be a pretty significant change for our district. Any questions on that?
Is there any risk that we would end up having to buy buses, or is it typically? So right now, there's no vendor internals, so
Yeah.
does that look like statewide districts own buses?
Districts do, but it's usually, from the people that I talk to, that's not a recommended option. Mostly because of driver shortages and those kind of things, but that's a lot for a district to take on. And of course, the cost of the inventory. We do know that people have approached Dave Wendorf about purchasing his equipment and his business, and people have reached out to us wondering how they can get in. So I'm confident we will have some. It's just different. It was, since we've gone from 5 vendors to 3 vendors to 1, we hung on to some of the old practices that, like we do our own dispatching, we do our own route read, and that will likely come to that, because think of like Tahoe Food Service. We don't order the food for Tahoe, it's like you're in charge of food service. That's how most schools do it. It goes in other places. So, I have a superintendent's corner ready to go tomorrow. But, so we're going to start messaging that to the community, and so they have some time to kind of wrap their mind around change starting next week. I've shared this in the past briefly, but we're starting to get a clearer picture of that second bullet point. So the Milwaukee referendum that passed in April is going to create some interesting problems around the state. And in fact, if you click on that link, I added that link here today. That's a memo from the Legislative Fiscal Bureau. If you can picture it, so they passed a $252 million recurring referendum, which means that gets aided in subsequent years. And so in Wisconsin, the aid that's distributed among the state is one big pie, and everybody has their slice. Well, Milwaukee's slice of that pie just got substantially bigger at the expense of everybody else, including Merrill. And so if I share that memo with you because if you scroll down to page 9, you can see the anticipated impact of Merrill, as well as everybody else in the state. But Merrill's anticipated aid impact is negative $230,000, roughly negative $230,000 a year in lost aid. I share that with you now because one of two things has to happen. One is probably unlikely that the state dumps a lot of new aid to make that pie bigger, or our community will have to make a decision about increasing the local levy someday. That'll be a next year problem. But I want to put that on your radar just to kind of start that discussion and make people aware. What's also interesting, if you look at Merrill on page 9, everybody's negatives in that column because the pain is spread around, except for Milwaukee, who's about 5 lines below us at $48 million of new aid in their district. So Madison has a referendum coming up that's about $500 million, I think, capital. So
I think
this
part of it is operational too.
yeah. So just want to share it to put on our radar that we might be putting more on the local tax, or as will every other district that you see on that chart. Questions on that? Good, because I may not have the answer. And then lastly, just an update on the community education coordinator position that the board approved recently. Angie Drew's been doing a great job. She's been working with Andrew Kaler to get the FDGU website transition going. Has met with other coordinators from other districts. We've had an advisory meeting, and so we are on pace to have that thing going positively as planned by January. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you, Shannon. Next on our agenda is the committee reports. Opportunity for board members to talk to other board members from the respective committees. We'll start with the Facilities Committee. Draft minutes from the September 11th committee meeting for facilities was shared with us. Myself as chair and other members of the Facility Committee are here for board member questions. Any board members have questions for our Facilities Committee? Questions for Facilities Committee? Otherwise, we'll go through Finance, Human Resources. Attached were the draft minutes from that September 11th meeting. John Smith, as chair, and other members of the Finance, Human Resources Committee are available for questions. Board members have questions for the Finance, Human Resources Committee members. Hearing none, we'll move on to the CTP, or Curriculum Technology Pupil Services. That committee also met on Wednesday, September 11th, and the draft minutes were included. Ron Liberty as chair and other members of the CTP committee are available for questions. Any board members have questions for our CTP committee members this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, unfinished business. We do not have anything categorized there. So we'll get started with Board of Education business. First item there is fiscal year 24 evacuation drills. Topic summary sheet was provided by Amber Aluska. And our safety committee has a recommended motion. If anyone's willing to make a motion on this topic. Ron?
Make a motion to accept the evaluation drill logs and submit them to the Department of Justice Office of School Safety.
Motion by Ron. Do we have a second? Second by Nub. Any discussion or questions? Anything you'd like to add, Shannon, as highlights on that? It's pretty self-explanatory.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any discussion or questions on this motion or topic?
I just don't see the logs attached. Tammy has a printout of the logs if they're not on electronically.
Would you like to see them?
But we're gonna approve. I don't know what date that is. So those specific.
Yeah.
So these are separate than buildings also keep a monthly log of their fire and evacuation drills throughout the year, but these are specific through Act 143 when we talk about more school safety and evacuation drills. So this is a format provided from the Department of Justice that each building administrator will go through and say, this is what we talked about prior to the drill, here's what we taught the students. They might have a scenario question or kind of a tabletop exercise. Students might go outside to their rally point. So, and then it's just more debriefing on the administrator end of what went well, what they can do for next time.
So again, we're moving on for a question, but in your topic summary sheet, it says one of the drills must be acknowledged by the board.
So the information I have is, yep, we would need it signed by the board to review those logs, and then we upload this to the Department of Justice.
Any additional questions or discussion?
I just have one question. Is the 2 times per
We
year
have a motion.
per calendar year or per school year?
Per school year, we'll do one in the fall and then one in the spring. So technically per calendar year, if the Department of Justice wants.
Okay, because this one is from May.
Yeah, yeah. So technically we get 2 in per calendar year, but we also keep track of them per school year twice.
Any additional questions or discussion? Otherwise, we do have a motion. Motion by Ron, second by Ron, to accept the evacuation drill logs and submit them to the Department of Justice Office of School Safety. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the adoption of the 2024-2025 Transportation Handbook. Attached is the draft of the Transportation Handbook, and there is a recommended motion from our Facilities Committee. Anyone willing to make a motion on this topic this evening? Paul?
Move to approve the 2024-2025 Transportation Handbook.
Motion by Paul. Do we have a second? Second by Mike. Any discussion or questions on this motion or topic? Go ahead, Shannon.
Just for the benefit of the board, as discussed at facilities, because we're going to be going through a significant busing transition next year, this handbook obviously will be going over to 12 revamp. Given that this is essentially a rollover of the 23-24, we just roll everything forward.
Thank you for that clarification and update. Any additional questions or discussion?
Is this just to cover bus transportation, not other student transportation?
Any additional questions or discussion on this motion or topic? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Do we have any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda this evening is the updated support staff compensation plan with the attached topic summary sheet from Mark Powell. And this is the recommended motion from our Finance Human Resources Committee. Anyone willing to make a motion on this particular topic this evening? Ron?
Make a motion to approve the summer student maintenance workers paying $16 an hour beginning July 1st, 2024.
Motion by Ron. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Paul. Any discussion or questions in regards to this motion or topic? No?
Just, I don't have a problem with the $16. I was just wondering why we're going back to July 1st. Why wasn't this approved before the summer started?
I can address a couple things. One is a couple new people, and so when I asked Mark about the July 1st recommendation, and that's been his experience at every places that he worked for, that you do a retroactive to July 1st, which is something that I didn't do on the math one that's on here coming up. So we would want to maybe have a discussion about that, but this customary to do July 1st, Mark, on any changes?
Yeah, unless it goes into effect earlier in the spring, and when Kelly did the adjustments, it was a category that was missed, so we wanted to add it going forward.
John?
Yeah, we brought it up at Finance Committee, and so it's their intent that they'll write a back paid check into July 1st. I voted against the recommendation, and as of right now, I continue to vote against it. One of the reasons being is we have a salary schedule, and so when we created the salary schedule, we were pretty insistent upon not putting incidental pay raises per position or individual, that we'd open up the schedule and we'd analyze it as a book of business. Because, as you know, when we address just individual wages due to need, that's a form of negotiation. And so we've had a lot of remedies with the salary schedule, because people were getting paid this because that's what they wanted to teach, English, and then the English teacher that was teaching English was getting paid this. So I kind of understand that this is a response to a problem, which I don't really have a problem with. There was a couple of people that came aboard, they said they could get paid more, they were perhaps going to go to a different job, and we said we could get you more money. That I'm fine with, pay them the more money in the stipend, but I'm not sure that adjusting a salary schedule or a compensation plan based on the incident is the right philosophical thing to do. Typically, you would look at everyone on the schedule, the custodians, the lifeguards, whatever, and you would compare that to other people that get paid in the district to make sure you're not stepping on any comparative toes, so to speak. So, again, the issue came up and it was addressed, but I'm not sure the board should fix it by modifying the entire salary schedule from this point moving forward. At least that's my look at it. Fix the problem.
Sure.
Get the lawn mowed. Got it. Again, fix the problem moving forward for every year thereafter. I don't think the salary schedule was comprehensively looked like that, and I know how it was built, and it was built like that.
I think one of the things, John, that was mentioned and maybe overlooked is this was approved in the spring, but through an error, missed whatever, didn't come through. So what we're doing is correcting a mistake that was made back in April. Is that what it was?
I think this one, the support staff, it was
Yeah.
spring.
Spring. We're correcting a mistake that was made. We're not negotiating, in my mind, we're not negotiating a pay raise or anything else. We're simply correcting a mistake that was made, which, doing the proper work, we should be correcting it. We should be fair with the employee.
And I respect what you're saying, John. One of the challenges, we've had a transition to Nick and transition Kelly to Mark, and we redid the support staff salary schedule in springtime. And so Nick's recommendation is that this position should be separate than the others because of the level of responsibility. These guys work independently to be competitive with the city and other places. That was the recommendation. And maybe because we redid that salary schedule, maybe there's a little grace, if you will, to make those corrections as they come up. I don't know when the proper time is to do that. I don't know if that's an annual thing or what that was.
I was present for the meeting and I read the document. I mean, the information you're presenting seems relatively new to me right now. Like, was it presented? Was it correction? And I just...
As a reclassification, because we're going from summer custodials to summer maintenance. So for that maintenance, for those maintenance guys, that do that independently.
I heard him say that in the transition between the past finance director and current finance director, this one item left off the board, missed, whatever. I heard him say that at the meeting.
And I respectfully apologize. I misinterpreted the situation in entirety because if it was approved in the past and it was just missed by a director who was supposed to populate the field, I certainly don't object. But basically, I heard it as incidental to the employment of those individuals. I stand corrected.
Understood.
I got a question. So they got offer letters with the $16, or they got an offer letter with a different amount that was missed? That's where I'm confused, I guess.
They're seasonal, so they wouldn't get an offer letter.
what was their higher amount that they were hired at? Like if it was just missed, then they were given that amount and we're just correcting it?
They were given the amount that was on there for summer custodial, and it should have been summer maintenance, so it would have been a different amount. Because there's two different classifications.
I forget what you want.
And then they noted it right away and brought it to Nick, and then Nick.
Actually, they initially, I think right before Kelly left, they talked to her,
Okay.
and then she said to wait till I got here.
Any additional questions or discussion? Jacqueline, go ahead.
Because my thought was a little in line with John's in the sense of, and then you kind of brought it up that I just wondered if we went back, how does that impact other staff? That might, and you mentioned something about math, perhaps. Because I guess I just want to be consistent, right, with what we do. I don't want to do something here and then it sets a precedence for something later. Or how come you did it for this group and not this? And can you just explain?
Yeah, so when we, after the HR finance, I asked Mark what his recommendation for July 1st, and he said that's customary based on his experience. And so that was just his consistent practice, or what's common in other places, maybe is the best way to say that. I did not know that when I made that. And the board wants to go July 1st for consistency, so that was we were making, I guess I don't know if there were two conversations at the time, but yeah, it would be consistent.
And I think the other part of that is normally this would be a April, May, June discussion. So now that we're to this point, you have to choose, are you drawing a line in the sand today, or are we going back to the start of a contract, which is July 1 for the next time, or going back to part of the summer, which is historically July 1 being a fiscal year start? John?
So just to clarify, that in April, this board approved $16 an hour for summer maintenance staff for summer of 2024. There's some approval process of that dollar amount in April that we are correcting this evening that I wasn't present for. So I can be confident that that vote has already taken place and we're not voting on something brand new.
Yeah, it's on the.
I don't know, it wasn't here, so I'm
It's
just
on
asking.
it's on the approved schedule, the schedule that was approved this.
Shannon looks that up. I believe it wasn't broke out separately is the topic that we're dealing with tonight. You probably will not see a line item of that because it was missed. So when you go through anything that should have been on the updated support staff comp plan back then, this was not broke out separately. When having a conversation after that, Nick had said, yes, maintenance should be different from this, and handled as a separate line item, and it had not been put on there.
So then how does an incoming employee know of an increase from just $60 if the board hasn't had a discussion and or approved something? Where does that knowledge, if you're going to do a service for $16 an hour in May, come from? Everyone knows about it in May, but I'm hearing we didn't.
Yeah, I can't speak to that.
So I'm looking at the document that was approved, the support staff starting rates document that Kelly Strike did. We did it, that was more approved this spring. I don't see any student workers on this approved roster, so we must be going with an old one.
I can speak to what John had brought up before. A co-worker of theirs had mentioned that a full-time employee had mentioned to them that they were going to be getting this increase. That's where they didn't kind of just pull that out of the air. that was brought to their attention by someone else that had been part of that conversation prior to that.
Prior to you coming out?
Yes. I mean, that is about the time that I came on. But yet, I do agree that they should be in a different classification entirely.
John, I have, you have issue, John.
From that clarifying point, we have a full-time employee talking to an incoming summer maintenance worker about the potential of earning more money that's now initiated a pay raise to the salary schedule for a line that didn't exist in May. So that doesn't seem like the proper order of which to modify the salary schedule. That would be, for my recommendation is table it, go back, look at it from a philosophical viewpoint of salary schedules, and come back with a clean motion next month.
I don't know if the motion changes. I don't know if,
Ron, you have your hand up.
I think Hampton was the category got missed in the spring. It's different because they are more working on their own. The name of the category wasn't included in the support staff. I think that's what I'm correcting, but it should have been on there, but it was missed. Does that make more sense?
If I could address that, it would make more sense if it went into effect next year, because this board would be changing the salary schedule for an upcoming service that they would be consuming next year. But we're going backward, and we're going to receive funds from the district for a service already rendered at a different rate of pay. So I just don't, and the only people that know about the rate of pay are the incoming students that were doing it. It's an odd way to, in my viewpoint.
But I think it was supposed to be on there, so it's our mistake. It's not their mistake. They called attention to the mistake. That it wasn't a category on pay grade that should have been on there.
The student maintenance workers brought it to the board's attention that they missed a line on the salary schedule.
When?
Maybe I'll Amber and then.
Just because it was on that thought, like, when did they bring it to somebody's attention to start it?
I didn't hear you. What's
When
that?
did they bring that to the board or to somebody's attention?
I still didn't hear. What's that?
When did they bring that, when did these workers bring to somebody in authority,
I think within the first 2 weeks of when they started working in the summer.
which is when? June, May,
June.
June?
Yep.
Nick, when they brought this to your attention, Mark,
Yes.
did they have it, I mean, where did this $2 go? Because your recommendation is that because they were independent, to accept this class, they didn't come to you to negotiate a $2 raise, from what I understand.
They didn't negotiate anything with them. No.
Well, like I said, they came to me because they had gone to Kelly before she left, and she said to wait till I got here. That's my knowledge of the history. And then I talked to Nick about it.
$4.
That's from 14 to 16, isn't it?
Right.
Well, it was $14.50, right?
Yes, 1450.
My concern is also how this was posted or how these kids were hired, or not students, I guess, and would other people have taken that opportunity at $16 now instead of $14.50? So that's a concern too, as far as who else would have maybe taken up that opportunity.
Well, the jobs were, they just came, they're seasonal workers that came back from prior year.
They were here prior. They were this.
It wasn't something that was posted.
There's not an ad out there.
Oh, there is.
Summer help.
There is.
How many people applied?
No one for that position.
Yeah. Okay.
But if they had it at a different price. and we weren't here.
I don't think you've seen anybody apply anyway. Parks, City of Parks is having a hell of a time getting people to write mowers, and I think they pay more than we do, don't they?
We hired, yes, and we hired basically everyone that did apply for summer
Yeah.
jobs. We didn't have many to choose from.
Nubs and John?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if there's any chance that it was our, as a system here, our error, we should approve it. But from now on, I would like to see your summer help get quoted a certain price in April or May, whatever it is, and then that's the price for the summer. Not a raise halfway in between the summer. That's for future, as far as I'm concerned.
John, Paul?
I'm not, everything that I'm reading says $12 or $10 per hour. So $14.50 is on the salary schedule, but it's not presented.
So 1450 might have been the longevity bumps. That's because you see starting stuff there, John. So you see the starting pays on the salary schedule. So this is what their third summer's with us. So maybe it was an annual.
Above it, it says substitute aide, secretaries, custodian, and non-student summer custodian. Is the 1450.
Yeah. Read the top summer sheet, it says $10 to $12 an hour, so
Yeah.
that's hard to track.
Any additional discussion or something you wanted to add, Shannon?
I just want to clarify, I don't think it's a board error. I don't think it's an administrator's error. I think it's a matter of Nick coming on board, respecting that these guys do independent work, making this recommendation. Maybe we could be cleaner on the topic summary sheet. Maybe we come back and table it, create that line item as a that rate and just do it clean. They're not, I mean, they're not expecting a check tomorrow, I'm assuming, right? So, I mean, maybe your point, Sean, maybe we just do this right. It's nobody's error. It's maybe sloppy, but it's nobody's error. So, I think with that table, we should
Would you like to make a motion to that effect, John?
check.
Jack, want to question yet?
Only just, it's minuscule, but everything's consistent with the $16 an hour except for in the minutes, and I didn't catch it earlier when you asked about meeting minutes. In the finance HR meeting minutes, it says $16.50. But like if you go to finance HR agenda, when we talked about it there, it was 16. If you look at it on the board agenda for this meeting, it's 16. It's just, for whatever reason, in the meeting minutes, it says 16.50. And I only noticed it because I was bouncing back between prior discussions.
I'd like to amend my motion to table this item until, and send it back to HR.
And then to table. Are you willing to second that?
No.
Okay.
I'm not willing to say that.
So we're looking for, we have a motion on the table by Ron, a second by Amber to table this, to go back to Finance, Human Resources, next meeting. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? This item of tabling requires a simple majority and will be tabled accordingly. Put back through the process of our committee work. Next item on our agenda is the approval of ESSER purchases with a topic summary sheet provided by Mark Paul. Recommended motion from our Finance Human Resources Committee. Any board member willing to make a motion on this topic? John?
Motion to approve the ESSER projects at the school, forest, and high school as presented.
Motion by John, do we have a second? Second by Nubs. Any questions or discussion in regards to this motion or topic? Any discussion or questions on the motion or topic? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries on a voice vote. Next item on our agenda is a one-year teacher contract template. Attached was a topic summary sheet from Heather Soberg. There is a recommended motion from our Finance Human Resources Committee. Anyone willing to make a motion on this agenda item? Ron?
Talking to Heather the other day, she was talking about possibly tabling this, that she was waiting for some information from Morton Park. Shannon, do you have?
I believe it's been added in,
It's
highlighted.
all in
It's
there.
like in there, it's highlighted in yellow.
So Sid,
Then I would make a motion to approve the use of a one-year contract template for specific hiring needs.
motion by Ron, do we have a second? Second by Mike. Any discussion or questions in regards to this topic or motion? Anything you'd like to clarify on that, Shannon? It's pretty self-explanatory. Some people may say, well, one-year teacher contracts are normal. This has to do with some work where perhaps somebody is under a stipulated arrangement and has some language in there. It cleans some of that process up. Is that the best way to explain that?
Yeah, unusual hires, group level license, stipulated licenses, that's what this is for. Should be used very rarely.
Very. All right. Any questions or discussion in regards to this motion or topic? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the additional position 1.0 FTE Special Education Aide for Washington Elementary School. Topic summary sheet was provided by Amber Aluska, and we have recommended motions from both our Finance, Human Resources, and CTP committees. Anyone willing to make a motion on this topic this evening? Jacqueline?
I recommend a motion to approve the additional 1.0 FTE special education aide position at Washington Elementary, which will be funded through special education pull-through.
A motion by Jacqueline. Do we have a second? Second by Amber. Any discussion or questions in regards to this motion or topic? Any discussion or questions on this motion or topic? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the substitute incentive topic summary sheet provided by Heather Soberg. Recommended motion from our Finance Human Resources Committee. Anyone willing to make a motion on this agenda item this evening? Dobbs?
I move to approve the substitute incentive program, which includes a $500 stipend for completing 50 full days of substitute work and a $1,500 stipend for completing 100 full days.
Motion by Nubbs. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Any discussion or questions in regards to this motion or topic? Amber?
I just want to clarify, parts that it talks about like substitute teachers. Is this for substitute teachers, or does it also include substitute aides, substitute aides,
It's my understanding it's substitute teachers.
maybe clarify?
Let-
Go ahead.
I asked Amber about that, and she said it's for all, for support staff.
Maybe.
I mean, Heather. Sorry. Yeah, because when I was clarifying what the agenda title should be, I said maybe we should be specific and say teacher, and she said it was for teacher and support staff. Yeah.
Do you have additional questions? Otherwise, I'm going to head across. John, go ahead.
When this was presented, I did not go understanding it was for support staff. I understood it was substitute teachers, as the first line indicates. So I recommended it to be moved to this board as approved recommendation of the Human Resource Finance Committee, but not with that information. So That's new to me.
It's new to me too. I think the intent is substitute teachers, not aides.
No, that's okay. I was gonna put teacher in the title, and she said.
No? Question or discussion?
Well, I just, my motion, I was considering it just for teachers. So if it's teachers and support staff, I'll take my motion back.
Move to table this until we get clarification.
Yeah.
Motion by Paul, second by Brett. Table this topic to go back through Finance Human Resources to clarify. All those in favor of that motion to table signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Table agenda item G. Next item on our agenda is the Northern Achievement Center, or NAC, paraprofessional compensation. Attached to the topic summary sheet from Shannon Murray. Recommended motions from both the Finance, Human Resources, and CTP committees. Anyone willing to make a motion in regards to this agenda item? John?
Motion to increase the pay for all NAC aides by $2 per hour to be offset by all the district tuition increases, and to create a separate delineation on the support staff compensation plan for NAC aides.
Motion by John, do we have a second? Second by Jacqueline. Any discussion or questions in regards to this motion or topic? Anything you'd like to add on that, timing-wise or anything?
Is this the same thing
Sticking with
as the maintenance people? You're talking directly here about a compensation plan. Those are the questions you raised when it came to the people on the maintenance staff. So I yield to John.
What do you yield to me?
I'd like your opinion, John. Does this meet the same qualifications? Should this be back? Now you're directly affecting the compensation plan here, and it's not.
Right, and it went through committee.
So again,
And we had a discussion, yeah. So I brought up my concerns from that committee situation. During committee, they discussed the fact that they did some research, and that all aides that basically perform this kind of work are grossly underpaid in this district, and that those aides, when they came over from CESA 9, took a $5 an hour pay cut. And so the administration made their case that these particular individuals should be compensated more, to which I agreed. And so we're adjusting the salary schedule as such. I yield my time back to the gentleman.
Thank you. We will not yielding on it. I'll vote for it, but it just seems to me that we're not being fair to one group for an incident that took place, not their fault. Now we're coming back, we're taking another group who, poor people, took a $5 an hour pay cut. Why did they take that pay cut? Did they lose their job up there? Is there a reason why they left taking a $5 an hour pay cut? I mean, that's the question I would have, is why did they leave? If that's a significant pay cut. And why would you leave a job taking that kind of a cut to come down here? And still now, you're gonna get $2 an hour, that's still a $3 loss.
So I believe what happened is, and not to cut you off, although I believe it was something we took on in-house versus something, a service from them, if they wanted to keep the same job in the same role, it was now under MAPS, and the board offered them less than what they were making from the prior employer.
The opportunity
They
was
did
still
agree.
there. The opportunity was still there for them not to have to take it.
Sure,
They
they
could have
wanted
gone
their,
somewhere else.
yeah, they wanted their same job, same title, same role. We went lower at that time based on the recommendation of.
Lastly, the last comment I'll make on both of these issues, none of this is school board business. None of it. This is his problem. He runs the school. All we do is approve the budget, and at the end of the year, if he's overdrawn his budget, we take him to task. We shouldn't be involved in any of this. This is not school board prerogative. Okay? It's called policy governance, and I'm a big beater of policy governance. I don't think we should be doing this. I think Shannon Murray should be making the decision and handling it and correcting it. If there's a correction that has to be made, he can report to the board, I had to make the correction, that's fine. So, and that's all I have to say, and thank you. I yield back to John.
Yeah,
Go ahead, John.
I respectfully disagree. The board is charged with hiring, transferring, terminating all employees in the district. We're charged with compensating, arranging for benefits, all employees in the district. It's all of our committee work, and we set out a salary schedule. I don't know, it's probably 4, maybe 5 years ago in response to what was out of control, arbitrary salaries of individuals that were insanely not fair. And so it's like, it's what the board does, is provide some oversight to salaries, budget, expenditures. And we can't simply just approve the budget at the beginning of the year without staying in tune to the budget throughout the year. That's respectfully why we meet. Otherwise, we could show up once a year. So it's like, I think this particular issue was well stated, well researched, and it basically is in line with how to function NAC in the future. I think the last issue was not categorized that way, and in a month they will get it categorized and made right by the people that were hired. But I'm not willing to approve one tonight. I'm willing to approve the other one right now.
Can I ask you one question, John? I have one more question.
Go ahead.
Okay. Who is the employee that the school board is concerned about? Are we concerned about the janitor swabbing floors? We're concerned about the secretary typing up the notes? Is that what our function is? Or should we be at a higher level of operation and taking our information from Shannon, getting it to Shannon? I hate to go back to it, but I'll go back to the technical colleges. We don't do anything. This is all the president's problem. We approve the budget. We go through the budget every year, line by line. We approve that budget. But I don't feel it's our obligation, our duty, if you will, to be supervising the employees. That's why we hired a superintendent. Now, that problem we had 4 years ago led to a replacement of the superintendent. So, we have a way of correcting things. He voluntarily retired. We didn't replace him, he voluntarily retired. So, just my thoughts, John. We'll probably disagree on this forever, but.
Well, there's a question on the floor that was extended.
Is there?
Yeah, you asked. And I agree that Shannon Murray is the employee that we manage, not the secretary, and not the custodial staff. But I disagree in the fact that we manage the money. And if the budget's approved at the beginning of the year, but if we're going to modify that budget in any way, there has to be a board approval. And that's what we're doing here tonight. So there's a modification in the information that was used to calculate the act. So it has to come through the board. They can't just arbitrarily increase what they pay individual people throughout the district. It's just not appropriate. This isn't NTC, this is MAPS, and we're a government entity. So,
And what we won't do is continue to go back and forth on this tonight.
What's on? I don't know why.
I know you don't. Then I would say point of order, which you would normally say to me or to someone else. We don't want to do that. I'm going to give Ron, since he had his hand up, the floor, and then we're going to turn it over to a vote.
Neither one of these items increased the budget. So why are we doing anything with it? We're not increasing the budget. That funds come through what he raised out of district funds. The other one is built into the budget. We're not changing the budget here tonight by $1. So he's right, we shouldn't have any say, because we're not changing anything. That's all I got.
Thanks, Ron. Shannon, point of clarification before we
Yeah,
all
just
vote.
to clarify, I respectfully proceed to follow the policy of governance. I support that. We'll release from that. Our current board policy 4120 says that the board shall approve the employment, fix the compensation, establish the term of employment for such support staff, it's about support staff, employed with the district. Employment contracts for such support staff may be brought to the board, and the superintendent, etc. for approval. So that's where we're at today.
Is the word maybe, you're saying maybe brought to the board?
Let's see, employment contracts for support staff may be brought to the board, but it does say that the board shall approve employment by salary schedule and title. fix the compensation, establish the term of employment for each support staff. So currently, this is our model, our policy.
All right, we do have a motion and a second on the floor on this topic. Any other clarifying questions? Otherwise, review the motion, please. Tammy, could you read that back, please?
Motion by Smith, second by Gremler, to approve the increase the pay for all NAC aides by $2 per hour to be offset by out-of-district tuition increases, and to create a separate delineation on the support staff compensation plan for NAC aides.
Thank you, Jim. Hearing that, we'll vote on this motion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries on a voice vote. Next item on our agenda is the 2024 Macbook Refresh. Topic summary sheet was provided by Andrew Kaler, and a recommended motion from the Finance, Human Resources, and CTP committees. Anyone willing to make a motion on this topic? John?
Motion to approve the 2024 MacBook refresh in the amount of $153,700 with $67,000 paid for by ESSER funds and $286,700 paid out of the technology department budget.
Motion by John. Do we have a second? Second by Paul. Do you have a friendly amendment added to that, John, just stating that if we do have any remaining ESSER fund balance to use, that we can use it there to offset this amount?
It's in there.
It talks about an exact amount, but if the other ones we approved this evening from the school forest or the high school come in under bid, we may have a balance. It would be nice to give some flexibility to use any additional monies. We could just add a line, any remaining ESSER funds to be used here, taken out of the technology budget, however you'd like to word that.
So after the word budget, add any remaining ESSER funds and any remaining ESSER funds.
Yes, that would be great. Were you able to capture that, Tammy?
Oh, right here, okay, yep, I got it.
Paul, are you all right?
Yes.
That's right. Thank you. Any questions or discussions in regards to that motion? Just looking to add a catch-all if there's a couple $100 or $1,000 that we're not leaving money on the table from ESSER funds, and we have a place to do that. Saving a few dollars potentially if it happens from the technology department budget. Any other clarifying questions or discussions on this motion or topic? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the LETRS training fees, which are additional fees. And attached topic summary sheet was provided by Amanda Patterson. And the recommended motion from our Finance, Human Resources Committee. Anyone willing to make a motion on this? Paul?
I move to approve the purchase order for LETRS training and facilitator training from Lexia Learning Systems LLC.
Motion by Paul,
I'll second.
second by Ron. Any discussion or questions in regards to this motion or topic? Any discussion or questions in regards to this motion or topic? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the school forest overnight compensation plan. Topic summary sheet was also provided by Amanda Patterson and have been reviewed by Finance, Human Resources, and CTP committees. Anyone willing to make a motion on this agenda item? Amber?
A motion for the approval of the adoption of the school forest overnight compensation plan for the 2024-2025 school year, and add the school forest overnight compensation plan to future employee handbooks.
Motion by Amber. Do we have a second?
second.
Second by Ron. Any discussion or questions in regards to this motion or topic? Any discussion or questions in regards to this motion or topic? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries on a voice vote. Next item on our agenda is Imagine Learning Edgenuity Renewal, formerly the Odysseyware, with an attached topic summary sheet from Tricia Dieter and a recommended motion from our Finance HR Committee. Anyone willing to make a motion on this agenda item or topic? Jacqueline?
I recommend the approval of the renewal of Imagine Learning Edgenuity for $16,500.
Motion by Jacqueline, we have a second by Nubs. Any discussion or questions in regards to this motion or topic? Any discussion or questions in regards to this motion or topic? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the CESA 9 contract addendum for visual impairment, VI, which is Orientation and Mobility, O&M Services, topic summary sheet provided by Amber Luska, and a recommended motion from our administration. Anyone willing to make a motion on this agenda item? Paul?
I move to approve the amended CESA 9 contract to include VIO&M services with an approximate estimate of $80,347, comparable to the 2023-2024 school year, paid through special education flow-through funds, and is already built into the 24-25 annual budget for the Idea grant.
Motion by Paul. Do we have a second? Second by Jacqueline. Any discussion or questions in regards to that, or point of clarification?
Yeah, this is an added based on student need that was admitted on the original CESA contract.
Thank you, Shannon. Any other discussion or questions in regards to this motion or topic? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Before we get into details or asking for a motion for the consent agenda, I'll ask if any board member would like anything pulled from the consent agenda to be dealt with individually. Since I don't see any hands up, I would ask for a motion on the consent agenda. Ron?
Motion to approve consent agenda items A through D, which include minutes of the August 21st, 2024 meeting, claims, vouchers, and receipts totaling $2,471,676.52, donations totaling $3,255, and the attached personnel report contingent upon release of contract for hiring, and upon satisfaction of the appropriate liquidated damages for resignation, if applicable.
Motion by Ron. Do we have a second? Second by Paul. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions?
I'll abstain from August 21st.
Motion carries with the abstention of Brett. Next item is items for future meetings. We can keep a running list. This is our opportunity, besides getting in touch with Shannon and myself, for board members to state any items that they would like to see in future meetings, starting a committee or brought to the board as a whole. We do have some items continuing to be monitored, such as the future of Jefferson, strategic planning, and the safety committee's been working on the workers' compensation rating and some things there, which will be more to follow going forward. But any board members have items for future meetings that they would like to bring to our attention this evening? All right, we will keep working on that. Just one thing that I would mention, it's not necessarily an item for future meeting, but a reminder that since our last meeting, the Adopt a Board Member list has been distributed from Tammy. Get in touch with your building administrator, set up a time. If there is 2 of you on that particular school that have been adopted, try to work with that board member to both go in at the same time, so we're being respectful of, mindful of that administrator's time. So any questions, feel free to ask on that separately to myself or Shannon. Just a reminder that tomorrow morning, Shannon and I will be on the radio approximately 8:15 a.m. just going through tonight's meeting. Future meetings include Curriculum Technology Pupil Services Committee, October 9th, 4:30 p.m. in the boardroom, followed by Finance Human Resources on that October 9th, which is a Wednesday, no sooner than 5 p.m. for the start. Our next regular board meeting is Wednesday, October 23rd, 5:30 p.m. here in the boardroom. I'd ask at this time, if anyone willing to make a motion for adjournment at 6:42? No? So to adjourn. Do we have a second? Second by Mike. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for your attendance and discussion this evening.